But to really make those moments happen, to really have that improvement, you've got to be really clear about who you are and who you've been in the past. Hey everybody, welcome back. It's me, Mark Matthews, psychologist and your certified high performance coach. Welcome back to part 2 of this mini series on how to feel authentic. If you haven't yet watched part 1, this is a mini series and I want you to go back and watch that video because I think it's going to provide a lot of context and set the stage for what we're going to be talking about through the rest of this series. For today, what we're going to do is we're going to dive into a very important question: how to know who you are, how to connect with who you are meaningfully, while also leaving room for you to self-improve, to grow, to change, while not really feeling like you lost yourself as you make that transition. If you recall, in part 1 of this mini-series, we defined authenticity as thinking, feeling, acting in a way that's aligned with how you think you should be living your life. And we talked about this tension that arises in life because there's so many ways that we can think about how we should be living, how we want to be living. Who do we want to be showing up as, right? And because of that, it's often hard to figure out, what would I need to do or be or think or feel in any given moment to feel authentic? All right, so let me ask you a question. Who are you? Yeah, who are you? To try to figure out how we should be showing up and living our life, we got to have an idea of who we are in the first place, right? And so I want to ask you to think about this. You've probably thought about this question before, but I want to give you a process to think about this a little bit differently that I think is going to be really fun and really engaging and really helpful for you to cultivate a greater, experience of authenticity in your life. And I want you to just think about that question. How do you normally try to answer that question? You might have found surveys or personality tests. As you know, I'm a psychologist. There's a whole bunch of different personality tests you could take to help kind of figure out who you are, how you like to engage with life, or maybe just aspects of your personality. You might look to things like astrology or star signs or different classifications that kind of inform who you are or some aspect of you. And whatever you like to do, however you like to engage that process, that's great. I think what's amazing about that is that you're starting the process of self-discovery. Self-discovery is simply the process of continually getting to know yourself. It's just really a kind of motivation that you can cultivate where you just say, you know what, as I navigate life, as I experience it, as I live it in present, I also want to take time to thoughtfully reflect on who am I? Have I changed lately? What stayed the same? So I want to encourage that process for you. At the same time, I also want to point something out here that you might be thinking. Sometimes when we try to do self-discovery through a quiz or a test or, look into some of these frameworks that kind of tell us about who we are, we can fall into the trap of putting ourselves in a bin. We can fall into the trap of kind of locking in an idea about ourselves that's rigid. And when that happens, I think that can be really disempowering. On one hand, it creates certainty for you about who you are, and that can feel really good in the moment. If you remember in the first part of this series, we talked about self-verification, and that's that human desire to feel consistent with who you are. And so kind of really securing yourself in a bin, knowing for a fact, that you're an extrovert or that you're really, a people person, that could make you feel certain and in some ways good. But it could also kind of lock you into something. And it could keep you from looking at ways that you might actually show up, differently or more fully or have a greater range of personality than if you weren't stuck in that bin. So I want to encourage you when you go through this process to really broaden your scope of who you are. I mean, you're an amazing person with so many different aspects of yourself, so many things that you could look back on and, learn about yourself. And I want to give you the ability to really see the full scope of that, at least for a small period of time. Okay, so here we go. Are you ready? We're going to begin the process of self-discovery. I'm going to give you a few things, 3 steps that are necessary to do this well, so that you have a positive experience, a meaningful experience, and so that you're more on the path to cultivating authenticity. Okay, so the first step that we got to do before we go into the past or we start to look at ourselves is that we have to get our mindset right about this process. And here I want to introduce you to a psychological concept. It's called unconditional self-acceptance. And unconditional self-acceptance is the idea that because there is such a full scope to being a person, there's so many aspects to who we are and so many different experiences or, past actions or thoughts or feelings that we have that we could draw on, it can be really easy to judge ourselves or to fall into evaluating ourselves as either a good or a bad person. When you're undergoing the process of self-discovery, we want to suspend that judgment. There is no need to be judging yourself when you're going about this process. You're just looking for information. Who knows why you behaved or thought the way you did in the past? That's something that could be multiply determined by a whole bunch of different factors in your life at any given time. This isn't the time to judge yourself or think harshly on yourself. It's also not the time to overly praise yourself or think too highly of yourself. You want to feel good, you want to have positive emotion, but you don't want to get caught up in only, looking at the positive aspects of yourself. You want to try to look at everything. And so the first step is to really lock in that mindset of unconditional self-acceptance. No matter what I see or think about when I go through self-discovery, I recognize that this is just a learning process and I'm being courageous enough to look at just that information for learning, as opposed to falling into that habit of evaluating myself or trying to gain self-esteem. We don't want to do that in this process. And I commend you on just the effort in building that mindset, because it takes a lot of maturity to even try to step into that. It's not always easy. So even thinking about doing something like that, I want to really give you, congratulations for, because it's really a great step. All right. So we've locked this mindset in. We're going to take on unconditional self-acceptance. At least for this moment, we're going to practice this. And we're going to go to the past. Now, the second thing you need, step 2, is to develop an aim. You need to know what you're looking for when you start to look back on your past or look at the different situations in your life or even look at the different relationships that you currently have cultivated. To do this, what I want you to do is I want you to look for specific moments that really matter to you. Now, there's a whole bunch of different types of moments that you could be looking for. I want you to focus on 2 specifically. 2 types of moments that really can be pivotal in understanding who we are. The first type of moment are moments of value. These are the moments in your life where when you reflect on them, you feel like you really showed up as the best of who you are. You really felt connected and you really wanted to be that person. Some of you might have tons of these. Some of you might not have so many yet. Some of you maybe you've never really explored this process. And it can be a really powerful process to do this. I want you to get at least one moment of value. And I want you to write that down or put it down somewhere. If you know you can't do that right now, just really kind of simulate that moment. Lock that in. Integrate that. That's who you are. You did that. That's a part of your story. Really pull that into your heart and recognize that's the type of moment I want to have more of. Moments of value are the types of moments that you want to have more of going forward. Now, moments of value are amazing and they're going to make you feel really good. There's another type of moment that I want to encourage you to cultivate. At least get one, and that's moments of regret. Now, regret can be a tough word for a lot of people. It often is synonymous with self-judgment and with looking back and feeling bad about yourself, and it really shouldn't be. I think that's silly that that's where that word is kind of gone. All moments of regrets are moments that you don't want to have more of in the future. They're lessons. You could call it that. You could just say you're looking back for lessons or you're looking across your life for lessons. But I want you to cultivate at least one of those moments. I want you to think about that and have that. Because once you get moments of value and moments of regret, now you can really see and refine who it is that you are and what do you really want to be shaping yourself around. And we're not going to talk about self-improvement and actually creating those moments yet. We're going to talk about those in the next video in part 3 of this series. It's one I'm really excited about. But to really make those moments happen, to really have that improvement, you've got to be really clear about who you are and who you've been in the past. And so that's what you're doing with this exercise. So lock in a moment of value, lock in a moment of regret. If you find yourself judging yourself or kind of evaluating yourself, let that go. This isn't a judgmental process. Okay, and now that you've got these moments, what I want you to do is the final step right here, step 3, which is you need to actually interpret those moments. You need to understand them a little bit more, because that's where you're going to really figure out the kind of deep foundations to who you are. In those moments, just ask yourself a couple questions. Did I show up in that moment because of my values? Because of things I cared about? Because of things I wanted in life? Great, write that down. If it's a yes, heck yes I did, then, capture that, understand that. And also ask yourself, did I show up in any of those moments out of fear? Was there a fear or something that I was trying to avoid that underlied that? Because a lot of times we start to become the person who can avoid the things we fear. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's absolutely human. If there's something dangerous coming at you, you want to avoid it, you want to change, you want to make sure you become someone who avoids the things that could hurt you. But sometimes those kind of, behaviors or thoughts or feelings, they get perpetuated too far. They become too much of your identity. And you figure out you've been playing the same, fear over and over and over again and showing up to life as if that fear exists and it's not even here anymore. And so this can be a really powerful realization for you when you realize, oh my God, this aspect of who I am, I don't really want it anymore. I don't need it. The fear's gone, right? So I want you to cultivate that. Just ask, did I show up because it was something I wanted? Is it value I was cultivating? Or is it fear? Something I was trying to run away from? Something I was trying to, fight against? Now, when you put all this together, that 3-step process, right? You go into the mindset, unconditional self-acceptance. You look for moments of value, moments of regret. And then you start to ask that question. Okay, what led to this? What led to me thinking this way or feeling this way or, behaving this way? You go through that process a couple times even, you're going to get a much better understanding of who you are. You're probably going to feel authentic in some of those, scenarios. You're going to experience that kind of feeling of like, wow, I have had some pretty impactful moments in my life. I'm living a very full life, a full human experience, which is amazing. And I want you to just embrace that process because it sets the stage and the foundation necessary to start to really put yourself in a situation where you can experience authenticity while you're changing, while you're growing. That'll be in part 3 of this mini-series. I can't wait for you to get to that part to learn about self-improvement. Guys, if you've liked this video, if you've had fun here today, if it's given you new perspective, if you went through a process of self-discovery and got a moment, please like this video, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, click that bell notification so that you know when more content's coming out so that you can get some more value and serve you. Most importantly, drop what you've learned in the comment section. Do you have a question about this process? Do you want to engage it more deeply? Do you want a little bit more knowledge on this? Do you just want to share what you experienced with, other like-minded people who are trying to grow and experience authenticity? Put that in the comments, and I'm definitely going to be looking through those comments and reading all of them and hopefully addressing some of that in the comments and helping you guys along. That's what I do. I'm a certified high performance coach. I'm here to help. I'm here to help you become who you want to be. And so please do that. And also, if you know somebody who's really helped you along your discovery path, Share this video with them. Let them know. Say, hey, you know what? I really appreciate you because you help me embrace self-discovery all the time through the conversations we have at the coffee shop or whatever. Great. Share that video with them. You know, come together over this authentic human connection. And yeah, have some fun with it. All right, guys. Thank you so much. My friends, I love you. I'm so grateful that you're here. And I'm so grateful that you are engaging as part of this community to grow and just become, you know, awesome people and have a great time along the way. Thank you. I'll see you over in part 3 of this mini-series.